Alana and I are back from our trip in Ethiopia. First time up there, we had kind of been a bit intimidated, I think, by how much there is to do in Ethiopia, and so finally broke it down into little bits and did our first chunk, which was Lalibela. We were there for 4 days, and out of those 4 days, thought I'd pick out 6 highlights, things that I think are really worth doing. So starting with number 6, was this market that we went to on the way to Yemrani Christus, one of the churches outside town. We'll get to that later on the list. But we went to this really cool market, and I'd love to tell you the name of the town, but I tried to look it up on Google Maps, and it's just like not there. The road that we drove to get to the town is there. The road out of the town that we took, not on Google Maps. You can see it on satellite view. There is definitely a town there, totally unlabeled though. So can't tell you quite where it was, but on the way to Yemrani Christus. Really fascinating place. Got to have a real taste of what market day is like. It was a bit of a special market because the following weekend was going to be Easter weekend. So really cool, really fascinating market to see. Number 5, we took a good chunk of time, pretty much a full day worth, to do some trips out of town, to go see some of the churches out of town. And I think of those ones that we saw out of town, the ones that would be really worth it is number 1, Yemrani Christus. Really fascinating church, older, totally different style from the rest of the churches that you're going to see around Lalibela. Really fascinating little tidbits on the way as you hike up. It's a beautiful hike up. Not that long, just a short little walk. Then there's these mummified remains of pilgrims who've come there. There's these amazing doors where pilgrims come and they smear it with butter, and so it's this well-preserved door. And this 1,000-year-old wood that is slowly being worn away by the footsteps of people who cross the threshold, but otherwise the church looks beautiful. The other one that I would really recommend is our Batu Ensensa. It's a much older church, so built 500-600 years before the churches of Lalibela that you're going to see.
It's 1,500 years old, the church. 600 before Lalibela.
Really amazing to see just how far all the architecture and everything had come so early on in this process of making these rock-hewn churches. Also, you got to really see a chunk of the natural landscape around the church that's very well preserved, and get a sense of just how much more lush this landscape was before it was so widely deforested. Number 4 thing I would really recommend is take a look at the calendar of when you're going. We really lucked out. It was kind of when we had a chunk of time, was over the Easter holiday weekend, and that happens to be, it's a week off from the Ethiopian calendar. So instead of it being Easter Sunday, it was Palm Sunday, and also it happened to be the 23rd of the month, which because St. George is such a big figure in Ethiopia and in Lalibela in particular, they celebrate St. George's Day every month. So on the 23rd of every month is St. George's Day. So it was really cool. We got to see a double whammy holiday, people practicing in the churches on Palm Sunday, St. George's Day combination. And it made for a real amazing glimpse into how active these 1,000-year-old churches are in Lalibela. Number 3 thing that I would recommend for Lalibela is take a look at Google Maps satellite view, not the actual map itself without satellite view. The roads are just not marked, so it's nearly worthless. But take a look at the satellite view and kind of get a sense of where some of the roads are and go running. There are these amazing runs just up and down the mountains through these roads. Really great way to see the town, see the environment, and to get out and be active while otherwise you're eating so much delicious Ethiopian food. You're going to need to move around. So plot out some runs before you get there. They're totally worth it. Our second thing, and this is a bit of a surprise that it's only number 2, would be actually the churches in Lalibela. Obviously a highlight. You knew it was going to be on this list. But really, I think it was kind of our second favorite. Of course, Bet Girgus, the St. George's Church, the one that's most famous. You're going to see it. Really worth it. Absolutely beautiful. Bet Medhain Alem, and also Bet Gabriel Raphael, both really beautiful, absolutely fascinating churches. So Bet Girgus, obviously the most ornate, really just so stunning. Bet Medhem Alem is actually the largest of the churches, and that one, the feeling that you get in this massive cavernous space is just powerful. It's impossible to capture the feeling of the air in here.
It makes it cool.
Because this whole church, this whole place, this whole thing is carved from rock. And then Bet Gabriel Raphael, two churches with a real cliff face carved into them, all carved with a bridge you have to cross over this chasm together. Really beautiful, absolutely stunning one. So you have to do both groups of churches, obviously. Does take a little bit of time, but it's worth seeing every single one of the churches in Lalibela. And I would say split it up over 2 days. Don't try to rush through both groups in once. Do kind of a half a day in the north group, half a day in the southern group, and you'll really enjoy them. Our number one thing, I think the thing that we enjoyed most was actually a hike out of town going up to Ashatan Mariam. So it's like 500 meters of climbing. It's quite up the hill. You can see the hill from Lalibela, and it looks up there. Absolutely beautiful hike. We had a fascinating time going up. Amazing path all the way, views all the way. The church itself is reasonably unremarkable. The canyons, the kind of pathways you go to get there are absolutely stunning. The fresh air is amazing. Our guide, I think, knew a household that we could stop in on the way down and had he said, the injera out of town, just the local injera that people make, not at the restaurants. The stuff they serve to tourists is rubbish. And so we got to try some local injera. Hi, cow. The goose. Injera. Alana. Well done. Cow. Fun experience all around. So that's a half day. No matter what amount of time you are in Lalibela, I would put a hike to Ashatan Mariam on the list. So those were our favorite things. Would love to hear if you have any favorites that I missed, or if you have any advice for other places in Ethiopia, tips and tricks for those, because we'll certainly be back. So would love to hear where the best places are for us to go next are. Thanks.